Hi, I'm Rachel Hemmingson, and I am going to tell you a story about an elderly gentleman and the changes that he went through and how he handled them. So we're talking about my dad, whose favorite thing to say as he moved into his 90s was, "Old age ain't for sissies." But the truth about my dad is that he did really well. So when he was in his 70s, he was still baling about 10,000 bales of hay a year on the farm where I grew up in Minnesota. So he moved out to Oregon with my mom and did great. He could do anything he wanted to. And my mom passed away when she was about 80, and he was fine. And then in his early 80s, my dad fell asleep at the wheel. And he just got a very minor injury and then a lot of mistreatment in a hospital. So he could no longer live alone. So he moved up to Portland near me, and he thought it through, and he moved into a mobile home park. And he loved it. My sister moved out from Minnesota and had a place there with her kids. And he did really well. And then as he got older, it started getting too hard for him to really do good shopping for himself. So he was eating a lot of kind of junk food, and that was creating problems. So we found someone to help him with shopping and cooking and cleaning, and he accepted that help, and it was great. And then he got to where he couldn't really handle the steps in and out, and so they moved into a single-story apartment with the 2 bathrooms, and that was great, and she helped, and my sister and I helped, and he did really well. He got to where he had to give up the car, which was hard, and then he was walking with a walker, and he was completely clear that if he got to where he had to be in a wheelchair, he would move into assisted living. So I so appreciate and admire my dad's realism, his willingness to accept help, and just, his good perspective on the whole thing. And it did take a team. It took several of us to help him be able to stay where he wanted to be and do what he wanted to do right up to the end of his life. And one of the things it also took was it took some money. So let's talk about you. Adapting to life's changes, gracefully or otherwise, really does take something. It takes perspective, it takes realism, it takes acceptance, it takes accepting help. And sometimes it takes money, and sometimes that is a problem. This is a place where I may be able to help you. If you are a homeowner and you have equity in your house that you've worked for and you own, this may be a perfect time to access some of that equity for money to pay for your needs now. I work with a program called the Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a way to convert some of your equity into the money you need. This program has been around for about 40 years. It is safe, it is highly regulated, it's understandable, and it's available for people exactly like you. I invite you to talk with me about this. Give me a call. Let's talk about it. In just a very few minutes, with a tiny bit of information, I can let you know if this might work or not. And then from there, we can talk with your family, we can look at this strategically and decide if this is something you want to explore. I would love to do this for you. I think it's a really important, useful service at this really critical time in your life. So I'm going to ask you to call me, and then I have one more thing I want to share with you. So the last thing I want to tell you, my dad spent some time in a rehab center, and when he came home, they sent out an occupational therapist. And she walked around and talked about trip hazards and things he should change, and he was totally offended. He responded like, "I've been just fine so far, thank you very much, and I'm not 4 years old." And as with thousands of people, older adults, it was a fall in his home that ended my father's life. So please call me.